So a few months ago, we checked out the Razer Opus entry-level ANC headphones, and I was blown away by their build quality and just the amount of value that they offer. A few weeks ago, we checked out the Hammerhead Pro truly wireless earbuds, and they're decent, but today we're going to be checking out the Razer Kaira Pro Xbox wireless headphones, and these are pretty solid as well. Now, price-wise, the Kaira Pros retail for $150, which is not bad at all for a pair of wireless headphones. But there's also the $100 Razer Kairas, which don't have a removable boom mic, no Bluetooth, a shorter battery life, and worst of all, no RGB. Now, personally, I do recommend the Kaira Pros over the standard ones, mainly because of the longer battery life and Bluetooth connectivity, so that you can play Assassin's Creed and maybe even play a podcast in the background, all at the same time. But if you want to save 910 Dogecoins, then you can always just go for the non-pro version. Now, build quality-wise, just like the Razer Opus, the Kaira Pros have great build quality. We have a mostly textured plastic body. These ear cups swivel very smoothly. This headband has a satisfying click to it, and personally, I like the look of this exposed stainless steel. The headband itself has the right amount of padding, and both the headband and ear cups are extremely breathable since they're fabric. So unlike other headsets that might be using leatherette, which can cause overheating and sweaty ear cups, the Kaira's breathable fabric ear pads keeps your ears cool even for multi-hour gaming sessions. But finally, there's the boom microphone. Unlike the standard Kairas, the boom microphone on the Kaira Pros is removable. So if you want to use these as a pair of normal headphones to listen to while you're on your commute to work or school, the Pros should have you covered. Now, when it comes to fit, overall this headset fits well. Right out of the box, this headset might have a little bit of a snug fit, but after a break-in period, they do loosen up, so they're definitely Big Head approved. And the ear pads on this headset are extremely spacious as well. So even if you have large ears or ears that stick out a lot, the Kaira Pros should have you covered no problem. However, I do have one complaint about this headset, and that's their weight. The Kaira Pros weigh in at 330 grams, which is a little heavy for a pair of headphones in general, because most ANC headphones weigh in at around 270 grams. And for comparison's sake, the super popular Bose NC700s weigh in at 264 grams, and the Sony 1000 XM4s weigh in at 254 grams. So with the Kaira Pros, this isn't a headset that you really forget that you're wearing, like let's say the Sonys or Bose or SteelSeries Arctis 1 for that matter. Nonetheless, the Kaira Pros fit well, and you should be able to game with them for hours on end without any problems, but I would like to see the next version of these to be a little lighter. But now let's talk about tech specs. Regarding battery life, the Razer Kaira Pros have an advertised battery life of 15 hours with their RGB turned on. But they also have an advertised battery life of 20 hours with their RGB turned off. Now, I don't know about you, but I would much rather have a longer battery life than have the Razer logo on my headset light up. But more importantly, the Kaira Pros charge via a USB-C port, which is very important to keep in mind. Now, this headset works with both Xbox One and Xbox Series. Now, if you're using an Xbox Series X or an Xbox Series S, then this headset is great because you can charge your headset and your controller with the same cable. But if you're still using an Xbox One X or Xbox One S, then you're going to have to use one cable to charge the headset and then use another cable to charge your Xbox One X or Xbox One S controller, because those controllers still charge via a micro USB port. Now, when it comes to connectivity, the Kaira Pros can connect to either the new Xbox Series X or Xbox Series S, and they can also connect to the last-gen Xbox One X and Xbox One S. And they connect to your Xbox directly. There are no extra receivers to plug into your Xbox. And when it comes to performance, I have no complaints. Every time I power on this headset, they just connect. Latency isn't an issue, and they never cut out. And also keep in mind the Kaira Pros have Bluetooth, which is something the standard Kairas don't. So if you want to use this headset as a normal pair of headphones while on your commute or to just watch a movie while in bed, you can do that. Or you can do what I think most people are going to do, and you're going to be able to play a game and also listen to a podcast at the same time. However, one very important thing to keep in mind about this headset is that it doesn't have an audio jack. So if this headset were to die on you in the middle of a game, you're not going to be able to rush and plug them in and at the very least finish up your game. With this headset, you're going to have to make sure that it stays charged. But now let's talk about sound. Overall, this headset sounds good. It gets more than loud enough, there's good clarity, zero distortion, and there's a good amount of physicality to its bass. And through Razer's app, which you can find on Xbox, you can either play around with its EQ, and you can also have different EQ settings for different games. However, my problem with this headset is its lack of dynamic range compression. Now personally, I like playing a lot of Apex, so I want to be able to hear people's footsteps. I want to hear for when people are taking jump pads out in the distance. I want to hear for when caustics are throwing canisters and for when those canisters are popping. And more importantly, I want to hear for when people are healing or reviving. And in order to hear those nuanced sounds, you gotta play at a higher volume. But the problem is that if you're playing with this headset at a higher volume, you're gonna go deaf if you get caught in a gunfight, because gunshots on this headset are super loud. So if you don't want to go deaf, then you gotta lower the volume of this headset. But if you lower the volume too much, then you're gonna have a harder time listening for those footsteps or more nuanced sounds, and you're really gonna have a hard time listening for a crouched revenant trying to sneak up on you. Now, I've tried playing around with the EQ on this headset, and I've lowered the mids and highs on this headset, hoping that I won't go deaf from those gunshots. But if you lower the mids and highs too much on this headset, then you're just going to end up sounding super shallow. So yeah, even though this headset sounds great, and I absolutely love that you can easily switch between any of your pre-saved EQ settings for different games, personally, this headset wouldn't be my first choice for people who play a lot of FPSs, especially if you're super competitive or if you play a lot of ranked. But more importantly, Razer's app also allows you to do a few other things. First off, you can adjust the EQ of the microphone itself, and you can even boost the microphone, and you even have a volume normalization for you yellows out there. But more importantly, this is how you adjust the lighting on your headset. You can either adjust the brightness, and you can select from a few different lighting modes as well. But like I mentioned earlier, you are going to get more battery life out of this headset if you use them with their RGB turned off. So unless you're a streamer, I'd turn off the RGB. But finally, here's the microphone test. Now, just keep in mind, we're using the stock mic settings, but you can always play around with how this mic sounds. But nonetheless, just as you'd expect, this microphone sounds very clear. However, this microphone doesn't block out too much ambient noise, because if I were to just stay quiet, you're going to hear a good amount of ambient noise. So even though your voice sounds good, this microphone might pick up, let's say, your computer fan spinning up, or more realistically, you're still going to hear, let's say, your AC unit that you might have playing in the background during the summer. But also keep in mind, this headset also has a secondary microphone built in for if you want to take phone calls while you're using this headset as a normal pair of headphones. And overall, in a quiet room, I sound pretty good. However, the secondary microphone also doesn't do all that great of a job blocking out ambient noise. So if you do plan on taking phone calls with this headset, you want to do so in a quieter environment. But with all that being said, the Razer Kaira Pros are a decent gaming headset. Fit-wise, you can game with them for hours on end because their earpads are very spacious and breathable. My only complaint is that I do wish they were a little lighter. Battery life-wise, they have an advertised battery life of 20 hours with their RGB turned off, and connectivity-wise, I've had zero issues with them. And since this headset also has Bluetooth, you can pair them up to your phone and play a game and listen to a podcast at the same time. And thanks to their removable boom mic, you can always just use this headset as a normal pair of headphones. And sound quality wise, this headset gets the job done. But personally for me, this headset wouldn't be my first choice for competitive shooters because of the lack of dynamic range compression. Because if you have this headset set too high and you get caught in a gunfight, then you are going to go deaf. And also keep in mind, this headset doesn't have an audio jack, so you can't use it with a wired connection, whether you want to use it with your computer or if you gotta plug this headset into your Xbox controller. And also keep in mind, this headset charges via a USB-C port, which is what we want to see in 2021. And if you're an Xbox Series X or Xbox Series S user, that's great. But if you're an Xbox One X or Xbox One S user, then you are going to have to use one cable to charge your controller and a different cable to charge your headset. But given at just how popular USB-C is now, I don't think that's a big problem.
If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit that like button and get subscribed. It helps out more than you realize. If you want to pick any of the products up mentioned in this video, those will be linked in the description down below, and you can also support the channel by checking out the merch store. But other than that, I'll catch you next time.